So a lot of times people think that the MDs or the CEOs of any company are very immersed into their work all the time. They're very serious, they're very buttoned up. But that's exactly what a myth is around a lot of these leaders. And in this series, we are doing things in a very different way. We are actually going to get them down in a very, very nice and personal space and indulge them into their passions. And to start this whole series off, we are going to be talking to Frederic Widell. He is the person who's leading the Oriflame brand in India, and he has one specific passion which, among a lot of the other passions that he also enjoys doing, but cooking is something that is right up there for him, and that's exactly what we are going to explore with him, and also then kind of have a conversation around the brand also. So Frederic, thank you very much for inviting us in this very nice and warm house of yours.
Thank you.
And then we are also going to not only drink a lot of nice coffee and eat a lot of great things that you've made, which I'm absolutely enamored by and I can't take my eyes off, but we are also going to be going and speaking about what exactly is Oriflame doing and how exactly are you leading from that chair. So we will get started with that, but first of all, just break down yourself for us. What exactly do you like? And not the MD CEO kind of a character, just break us Frederic Widell in a very, very personal way.
I would say that I have never been your typical CEO ever, and I will never be. That's just how it is. However, you know, what I really enjoy are beautiful things. I like home decor, furniture, paintings, gardening, everything that makes life look a little bit prettier. I'm into that. I'm also heavily into golf, which I have been for decades now, and it's a big passion of mine. And I think very, very important that when you do not work, you need to have hobbies. Yeah. You need to do something that keeps stimulating your mind other than just watching TV. It's completely individual, whatever gets you going and whatever triggers your mind, and that's what it is, I think. And so I really enjoy my spare time as much as I can.
In fact, for you guys, we were, before the camera started rolling, we were taking a little tour of the house, and we went to one corner of the room, of the house, where Frederic showed us the other passion that he has, which is playing around with wood. So that is, again, one very cool thing that I found about Frederic. But anyway, now I'll transition towards the conversation around Oriflame. Now, the brand has been around for over a period of 50 years now, almost. And it's one of those companies which prides itself in the people culture. In fact, I had a few friends tell me that it is one of the best companies that you can work for, because it's not only about selling products, it's actually about selling emotions. And that's exactly what we were discussing when we were waiting outside as well. That it's not so much about just the profitability for the company. It's about how do you achieve the profitability while actually looking after your people. So what is that mantra that really keeps Oriflame in a very niche space?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And it comes down to culture. And in my opinion, running a company always comes down to culture. Strategy will be perhaps the second most important part, but culture is the number one. And what I like about Oriflame and why I have stayed for nearly 14 years with Oriflame is because our mission statement is to fulfill dreams. That's it. 2 words, fulfill dreams. That's our mission statement. And a mission statement for you guys who are not in the corporate world actually means the reason why the company exists.
Yep.
So why Oriflame exists is to help people all over the world to fulfill their dreams and to be entrepreneurs with Oriflame. And at the same time be a part of a beauty community for both women and men. And I think that's why I would describe myself as a very impatient person, still have worked 14 years with this company, because it's such a wonderful culture and it's such a wonderful mission that we are living every single day.
Now, because of the pandemic and of course the digitization that we have been experiencing over the past 5-7 years, it kind of got accelerated in a very huge way, because the COVID pandemic was very disruptive in a lot of ways, and we saw these micro influencers crop up, right? And beauty as a segment in the social space has really exploded in a big way. Now, when it comes to social selling, because this has been the philosophy for the longest time for your brand, How did that space of time, the past 2.5 years, how did that kind of alter the dynamics for the company?
I mean, for us, social selling means building relationships in the selling process. And when the pandemic hit us, all of a sudden you could no longer build relationships because everybody was confined to their homes. And if you remember, here in India, it was a lockdown of nearly 6 months, the first one. And it was tough, and therefore many of our brand partners went digital. That was the only solution they had. And they tried to create those relationships digitally over Zoom or Facebook or Instagram, Snapchat or whatever, And that's of course much more difficult, I think, long term, to build relationships through a computer screen. But you have to try.
Yeah.
And I think over these past 2 years, we have kind of learned the combination of being digital and being physical. Because physical meetings and physical interactions, like you and I have today, just simply cannot be replaced with a computer screen.
Yeah.
But you can do a lot of other things on the computer, digitally, which helps their business. So I think it has actually been very good for us. Though the pandemic obviously has been very sad and tragic in societies all over the world. But for Oriflame as a company, we've learned a great deal. I would say with fast track, probably our development with 10 years perhaps.
Okay, now we'll stop the corporate talk because we are here for a very different mission as well. And that is to essentially know more about Frederic, the guy who's not the MD and the CEO of Oriflame, and tell us about what exactly is your passion for food like. And you mentioned that it started when it started pretty late in life for you, in fact, at almost about 40 years of age. How did that come about, and what do you like the most?
Well, I think that when I grew up in Sweden, my mother taught me that a man has to be able to fend for himself, not to rely upon anybody. So she taught me how to do the laundry, ironing, do cooking and so forth, but it was the simpler part of cooking, I could survive. But then when I late 30s, early 40s, I sort of just, from one day to the next, sort of felt, hey, I want to cook. I want to really learn how to cook. And I picked up a cookbook and I started with the simpler recipes, and then I got into more extravagant ones, and then I got into French cooking, which is very, very, I wouldn't say difficult, but it is tedious. And when I moved back to India a few years back, 3.5 years ago, I also started cooking some Indian food. And Indian food is fantastic, obviously, you know that, being Indian. And it has a lot of herbs. So it's quite a different way of cooking from the European way. So I think, I just got into it. And I think for me, it's the creation part that I like the most, I can focus my mind on something completely different and just be in that moment there and then. And then I want to serve to my friends and family and see their reactions. I take a lot of pleasure from when people say, hey, that's fantastic.
Right.
So I don't know if it's some type of self-affirmation, but it's the creativity part that I really enjoy.
Now, tell us more about some other things. Like, for example, you mentioned that you are heavily into golf. Now, that's a very, very technical game. Not a lot of people think that golf is, hey, it's just about swinging a metal instrument. But that's not it. How does that help you overall, not just in your professional life, but also otherwise, because the mental balance that you need and everything is huge?
I think that's a very good question. And for me, golf is, in many sports, you compete with somebody. Yeah. Either you compete with a team or you compete singularly with somebody else. In golf, you actually compete with yourself. Yeah. Unless you're a pro golfer, which I am not and will never be. But on the golf course, and when you go to a golf course, any golf course, anywhere in the world, it's always in a beautiful setting. It's the environment of that space, nicely manicured by gardeners and whatnot. It's always beautiful. That relaxes me big time. And then to be into the game, into the swing, hitting the ball, thinking of nothing else but golf, relaxes me both professionally and personally. It kind of rejuvenates myself.
Okay, so now we are going to dig into a little bit of stuff that is kept on the table, and you don't really want me to show you how I eat. That's going to be very, very foul. So what we'll do is we'll now run some B-roll so that people are not really embarrassed by, or I'm not embarrassed to be on camera and eating all this, but we'll continue this conversation. So I don't know if you can see the setting that we have now, but we have consumed quite a lot of what was kept for us on the table. And when the cameras were off, we were having a conversation just randomly as well. And there were a couple of very, very unique things that Frederic told us. And the one thing that stuck with me, and which I told him that we are going to recount, is the fact that India holds a very, very special place in your heart. And it was on a special request to the head office or the headquarters that you told them that it's only going to be India, otherwise I'm not going to be taking up the role, right?
Correct.
And so Frederic had initiated a company of his own. He cashed out big time, had enough bank balance and more, but at the same time, he requested the company, the headquarters, to explore a role for him in India, and that's how he came back. So give us this story.
Well, with Oriflame, I worked 10 years and I had the various roles all over Asia, and I had a fantastic career with Oriflame. After 10 years, I said, hey, look, I need to try something on my own. And I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I started a company with a couple of friends, and I moved back to Sweden. We were very close to bankruptcy at one point. Just actually 3 weeks away from bankruptcy, but we managed and we survived, and then we got some momentum going, and we actually acquired a few companies. Then we wanted to just cash out, and we sold the company to an American company. And at that point in time, I was evaluating what should I do now. And I looked back at my career and I said, hey, well, the most fun part of my career was with Oriflame, and it was in India. So I contacted the global CEO, Magnus, and I said, hey, look, Magnus, I'd love to come back. If you'll have me, but only on the condition that I can live and work in India. So let me know. So then he called me up and said, hey, look, we want to get you back, and yeah, we have a spot for you in India. So I came back 3.5 years ago.
What exactly is it about this land that is so special to you?
Well, I've lived in I don't even know how many countries, but I would say 12 different countries all over the world, from Africa to Asia to Europe. And in India, somehow, for me, India feels like my second home. I feel very comfortable here, even though there is an enormous amount of cultural differences, not only with Europe, but also within India. Food, colors, tastes, environment, climates. And India is like a huge continent, everybody knows that. And you can see everything here, from mountains to beaches to deserts to jungles. Anything you want is here in India. And I feel very comfortable with the people. I like the people a lot. Emotion is driving India. And I'm an emotional guy, so it kind of gels well with me.
Right, and you just mentioned that you've essentially been like a global person, because you've not only traveled to, but also lived in so many places. Now, getting the focus back on Oriflame, because we also need to talk about the brand. How does that experience kind of make you a better person from occupying that office as the head of Oriflame in India?
When you come as a foreigner to India, I would say India is probably the most difficult country to understand in the entire world, because its sheer size and because of the fact that there are more than 1,600 languages. a mix of religions and cultures, and that's why it's so difficult for somebody coming from a very homogeneous country like me, Sweden. Everybody speaks Swedish. Everybody is born a Christian Protestant, you know, whether they practice or not, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
So it is a very complex country. That is part of what I love about India. And it is in a way very tolerable also, India. So I think having those exposures, being in various different countries and then coming to India, makes you very open for differences. And if you come directly from Europe or the US to India, you will hit a few hurdles, definitely. But if you've lived in other parts of the world, you can easily, or easier perhaps, gel with the differences that India entails.
So what exactly is it when it comes to people culture at Oriflame that really is a standout element?
Well, I think that our culture is gelled from the founders 55 years ago. Two Swedish brothers. They really wanted to create a company where, you know, we would help people become entrepreneurs. And in order to help people become entrepreneurs, and just anybody, whether it's a housewife or a MBA graduate, you know, you need to be with the people. And they understood that very early on. So in our DNA is the fact that people means more than anything else. So when we talk about culture, we talk about togetherness, we talk about having the right spirit and passion. And togetherness is kind of in the mind, spirit is also in the mind, but passion is in the heart. And that combination, I think, makes us outstanding. In fact, here in India, we were actually just recently awarded or certified the Great Place to Work certification as the first Oriflame company all over the world who was certified. And I think the certification is just a stamp of approval that we are doing what we believe you know, we were doing, and we got that certification and we were happy about it. But ultimately, when you have so many people in Oriflame here in India who have been with us 10, 15 and even 25 years, that gives you some type of approval rating of the fact that our culture is indeed very strong. And I think the culture gels people together. And I think you know, sustainability and equality have also been with us since 1967. Sweden is probably one of the countries in the forefront of sustainability and equality. And therefore it's also in the DNA. And I take enormous pride of working for a company that actually cares. Not only about profits, but also about the societies.
And now shifting the focus on the company strictly in terms of what the products are going to be and everything of that sort. There are two segments. One is catering to the women and the other one is towards the men. What is the ratio of business in these two?
From products point of view, I would say that 85% of all products are female products being sold. We have a much smaller size of line for male products, but we still have a good business with male products. And like you said earlier, I mean, men these days spend probably 200% more time than their dads in front of the mirror.
So how aggressively are you going to be focusing or investing on the male business unit as well?
I mean, we are now focusing quite a lot on our well-being range, wellness, and that is of course both female and male. And that range has been growing beyond belief over the past 5 years. And we have now a very good, solid business coming from there. And there are a lot of men involved in selling and buying those products as well. And when we talk about beauty in Oriflame, we talk about beauty by Sweden, which basically means holistic beauty. You know, well-being from the inside and how you look from the outside. And that leading to the fact that you feel more confident about yourself. It's not about being a model, being 6 foot and skinny, and it's about how you feel about yourself. And anybody can be beautiful. It's just, you know, up to you.
And nowadays, sustainability, as you said a little while back, is a big topic of conversation for every organization, every individual as well. In fact, even when we do our travels, we always focus on telling people about the importance of sustainability and responsible tourism. So how exactly is this space being looked at from your perspective, from Oriflame's perspective, what are the kind of investments that you are doing, and what are the kind of future plans that you have?
I mean, we have been very aggressive here since inception of Oriflame, and I think today, if you look at here in India, we have two plants, and both of those plants are using 100% renewable energy.
Okay.
So, and we are also filtering rainwater into the groundwater, and so there's really no impact on the environment by producing the Oriflame products. And that's what I love about supply and demand. If there is a demand for ethically sourced products, for sustainably sourced products, every company will follow suit.
Yeah.
And this is why I believe that this should be regulated not by the governments, but by the customers. And I think next generation Indians will be even heavier focused on ethical, anti-corruption and sustainability, environment, and all these things. And I think that will drive the development in societies more than the government can ever do. So for Oriflame, our focus over the next 10 years is to make sure that even when we have huge conferences of 3,000, 5,000 people traveling to a destination, we have now started making sure that those are offset and have zero impact on the environment. So we offset it by buying plants and trees and things like that. And I think by 2030, we will be very, very close to being 100% sustainable. Meaning that's the ambition, to be very, very close to 100%, no impact on the environment.
Again, from a community development point of view, because again, you're a very socially responsible company, what are the kind of measures or what are the kind of initiatives that Oriflame has taken to kind of invest itself in the people, not only those people who are working with and for Oriflame, but also beyond?
Yeah, I mean, here in India, for instance, we have been involved in a CSR project with Widell since 2006. Yeah. And we have educated more than 9,000 girl children from first grade to high school. And we continue with Widell. They're an awesome NGO, and we just love working with them. We have done other things also. We have had a collaboration with Hand in Hand, where we invested $5 million in self-help in Tamil Nadu to some very, very poor areas of Tamil Nadu, where we primarily helped women to help themselves. Okay. How do you open a bank account? How do you read? Things like that. Wow, okay. So we do a lot, and this is only in India. We do stuff in Pakistan, in Latin America, all over the world where societies need help. And again, we go over and beyond the 2.5% set by the government.
Something for the future that people of India can expect from Oriflame, something which is beyond what the catalog right now holds?
Yeah, we're looking in. We have actually a number of projects. I can share with you a few, perhaps. We're looking into essential oils that then has, or this range has neuroscientific properties, so they will actually help you, which has significant scientific claims to it. We're also looking into some Ayurvedic products, and we believe that Ayurveda, being thousands of years old here in India, really and truly combines holistic beauty. So therefore we think that could fit in Beauty by Sweden.
Right.
So Beauty by Sweden has nothing to do with Sweden as a country. It's more about
a philosophy.
Holistic beauty. And then we have a number of other projects, but they are a little bit too early to mention at this point.
Now what we'll do, Frederic, is wrap this, because the conversations have gone on, and now I think we'll go to your cooking station again, and we'll just kind of indulge in a little bit of nice coffee and some more beautiful dessert. So thank you very much. It's been an absolute delight.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You are more than what people have told me you will be, and again, I just look forward to meeting you more and more and having more such conversations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.